Alright guys, so this video is going to help you factor polynomials, and those polynomials are going to be in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c. We've been factoring already, but we have also already done this lesson. I just wanted to give you a short video reviewing all of those things so that you can keep referring to this at home. So again, we've already done this. This is 8-6, but this video is just going to help you understand how to factor these trinomials. So the first thing to remember is that all of these trinomials, when you do factor them, you will get two binomials, as you can see. Those three blank spaces would represent the three terms, and when you factor it correctly, you would have two binomials as your final answer multiplying each other. So like if it said 5x squared plus 11x plus 2, we're going to learn how to solve this factoring problem. And you'll find that you'll get x plus 2 times 5x plus 1. And if you foiled this, you would see that it is the answer, but what we're about to go through is just how you will factor a trinomial with a leading coefficient that's not 1. Alright, so here's the example, 10x squared plus 9x plus 2. So the first thing you need to do is understand that the 10 is in position A and the 2 is in position C. And the first step is to multiply A times C. So just multiply 10 times 2, and you would get 20. Once you do that, you need to now ask yourself the question, what factors of 20 would multiply to give you 20, but also add to make 9? So think about it for a second. Hopefully you just realized that the numbers are 5 and 4. 5 times 4 is 20, and 5 plus 4 is 9. So that answers the question. Something to keep in mind, though, before we move on, is now things are going to get a little different. You actually don't ever use the 20 again. The 20 is gone. We care about the 5 and the 4, though, because those are the factors that add to make 9. So your next step is what I call the splitting step. What you're going to do is take the middle term, the bx term, which is 9x, and you're going to split it into those two factors that add up to make 9. And those two numbers are 5 and 4. So you're really just going to rewrite the entire problem, but you're going to split the middle term into the two numbers that would add to make it. So that would be 5 and 4 in this case. Probably the most important step, and you'll see it again on the next example. Once you split the middle term, it's kind of downhill from here, a lot of the stuff you've already done before. The next thing is to group the first two and the last two terms, like you see there in red. And now that you have two separate sets of parentheses, because notice there's a blue plus sign in between them, you now have to factor out the GCFs of both of those sets of parentheses. So the 10x squared and the 5x in the first set of parentheses, the GCF would be 5x. You can divide 10 and 5 by 5, and you can divide x squared and x by 1x. And when you divide out 5x, you are left with the 2x plus 1 that you can see there. And if you look at the second set of parentheses where it says in blue 4x plus 2, the numbers 4 and 2 have a GCF of 2 that you can factor out. And when you remove the GCF of 2, the 4x becomes a 2x and the 2 becomes a 1. Something to notice, both of those binomials are the same. That is a way that you can know that you have been doing the problem correctly. The last step is very simple. Basically, you need to realize that this entire problem could have been written in brackets or parentheses, whatever you want to call them. And because you have two terms there, the 5x is multiplying the 2x plus 1 in parentheses, and the 2 is multiplying the 2x plus 1. Those are two sets of terms, and they're being separated by the red plus sign that's in between them. Because both of these terms have the same binomial, 2x plus 1, you can actually factor out that same binomial as kind of like a GCF. And basically you would write the 2x plus 1 as though it were undistributed from both the 5x and the 2. So basically the 2x plus 1 is now going to be on the outside of the brackets, and the 5x plus 2 kind of squish together and make their own binomial. If you redistributed the 2x plus 1 back into the brackets, you would have what is written in red, but we do have our final answer here, and it's those two binomials put together. If you FOIL this, you'll find that it'll be the original problem written in black, the 10x squared plus 9x plus 2. But you are done. That is what you got to do. So let's just look at one more, and then we will get to the practicing. All right, so there's the first one, or there's the second one. 2x squared minus 13x minus 7. By all means, pause the video as you need to. I'm going to go through this kind of quickly and maybe even try to solve this one, and then just press play on the video and pause it if you make mistakes and stuff. So again, you want to multiply a times c first. It is 2 times negative 7. Negative numbers do matter in this case, and that would be negative 14. So next, ask yourself the question, what factors of negative 14 would add to make negative 13? And those factors would be negative 14 and 1, because negative 14 plus 1 is negative 13. Always remember, things times 1 equal themselves. The next thing is the splitting step. You have to take your negative 14 and your positive 1 and rewrite negative 13x as the split positive 1x minus 14x. Take a look at that. The 2x squared and the negative 7 are both still the same, but the negative 13x has now become a 1x minus 14x. Now this example is very important because something tricky is about to happen here. When you do your grouping step and you put parentheses around the first pair and second pair of terms, you'll notice how the negative 14 has now kind of been cut off, and it sort of looks like you now have two binomials that are multiplying. If you notice right there, it means multiplication, and that's not correct. It's supposed to be addition. So what you need to actually do in this case, if you do have a negative sign that's with the 14, you can cut it off and leave it with the 14 and separate it from the x, but you need to put a plus sign in between there. The reason why you're allowed to do this, the positive x minus 14x, that really also means positive x plus negative 14x. And since you could add a negative number, in this case we're adding negative 14, you can just write your plus sign in between the two sets of parentheses, and you're going to be good at this point. So just keep that in mind. If the negative sign does appear, like in this case, you just have to drop a plus sign in between. The rest of the problem, find the GCF of both sets of parentheses. Oh yeah, that was wrong. Okay, cool. So there you go for the GCFs of both sets of parentheses. And then again, notice we have the same binomial, so that means we've been doing the problem correctly. And because you have two terms here that are multiplying those binomials, you can factor out the 2x plus 1s. And when you do that, you get 2x plus 1 all by itself, and then an x minus 7. And of course, remember, you can always FOIL. If you FOIL it back together, you will get the original problem, which is written in black, and that's another way you can check to make sure you did it correctly. Alright guys, so just remember, practice makes perfect. You've now seen how to do a complete factoring job of polynomials that look like ax squared plus bx plus c. And eventually, when you practice enough of these, it won't seem like as long of a process and you'll probably fly through it. Alright, good luck.